So in this really short video, I just want to show you guys how we're going to set up our camera controls for our, when we're going to be working on our player controller. We're not actually going to be programming too much for our character controller in terms of camera. We're just going to be using a package Unity already has, and that's just going to make it easier for us to focus more on the programming pattern and the movement stuff, right? We don't want to worry about the camera itself. So we're just going to use one of Unity's packages to do that. Very easy, very powerful. And I just want to show you guys how to do that. So in the last video where I had gone over inputs, I just set up kind of a basic character. All I did was make an empty game object called player. Made a capsule. That capsule is at 0, 0, 0 relative to its parent, which is a player. This capsule kind of represents a model, It also has the capsule collider on it, so the collision as well. And all I'm going to do in this video is show how we can very simply add a camera that we can use the mouse controls to kind of like look around like we would in any game. So we're going to use a package for that. So in the package manager, under the Unity registry, I want to find a package called Cinemacine. Right there, Cinemacine, and I am going to install that. When it's installed, we'll know it's installed because there's a little check mark, and the install turns to remove. And then inside our in project tab, you will see Cinemacine has been installed. Once it's installed, what we want to do is with the main camera in the scene, don't delete the main camera, with it in the scene, I'm going to right click, go down to Cinemacine, which is now a new kind of tab that pops up down there. A targeted camera, that's the type of camera we're making. Cinemacine contains a bunch of different types of cameras. And we're making a targeted camera, like the camera is going to have a target. We will select free look camera. This is going to add a game object into our game that contains a Cinemacine camera and then a couple of components for the camera, an orbital follow, a rotation composer, an input axis controller. Not super important what these do. In your resources, again, just like I did for the input actions, there is a Unity documentation on Cinemacine. There is also a video in the videos tab. I think it's a nice little tutorial that kind of goes over Cinemacine. More in depth with the settings, so feel free to watch that if you want to be able to change your settings around a little bit. And onto our main camera as well, if we click it, let me just collapse the camera, you can see we've added a Cinemacine brain. So all that's saying is that all these Cinemacine settings is going to be controlling this camera, using this brain. And really, so it's going to be controlling the camera's transform. It's going to be changing the position, rotation based on like our mouse movements, based on the settings from this game object right here. This Cinemacine camera is the main kind of component. And this Cinemacine orbital and the rotation composers are like extra components that we can add on to it. So the way any type of Cinemacine camera works, however you want to make it, would be we have this basic component, and then you can keep adding kind of other components to give it different functionality. So that free look camera just kind of gives us a default setup. The only thing that we need to do here is to change this tracking target. You can see right now it's the setting tracking target has a none as a transform. Well, I'm just going to drag my player into it, and you can see the camera has moved to my player. It shows these three circles all collected together by the spline here. And if I was to hit play, I can control my camera. So if you want to mess around with the settings for it, it's all going to be done here in this free look camera game object, the new one that was added. Everything is going to be here. We can change the offset of the target. You can see if I'm moving it on the x-axis, we can see this little thing moving. I'm going to obviously keep it at 0. You can change the type of like orbiting that's happened. So just a real quick understanding of what we see here with these three rings and this spline here. If you watch the other video, I think they have a really nice animation kind of explaining it. But basically, when my camera is near this middle ring, I can move this middle ring distance around my player. As we go to the top, that distance is reduced. Same thing for the bottom, that distance is reduced. We like rotate tighter around the character. So just like that, we have top, center, bottom here. We can change the radius, and you can see that it's visually changing there. Defaults are good. Definitely play with it, though. You can even change the curvature on the spline. So like how, curve we move up and down. There's a bunch of different kind of options here. You could even change it to, you can change like what type of space we're moving it in. That way, if you wanted to offset it, the target, and like move backwards on it, we can do that. And so there's a bunch of options here. Feel free to play with them. I think by default, at least things would just look okay. And, this just saves us on a lot of like programming that I think we can avoid in this class, so that we can focus on our efforts onto other things. So we're just going to use Cinemacine, making a third-person game, so it makes it, nice and easy. But that was just a short video. If you want a more in-depth look at it, again, I think the video I have on the Blackboard has much nicer animations, so feel free to take a look at that. Thank you guys for watching.